Welcome to the Daily Decant, your 5-minute briefing on the world of wine. Each episode delivers practical insights to help you choose, order, and talk about wine with more confidence in everyday social settings. Let's get into today's decant. It's a new week, and this might be one of the biggest in scope we've ever done on the show. We're spending 5 days with a single grape, but not a grape confined to one region like Nebbiolo in Piedmont or Albarino in Galicia. We're spending the week with Cabernet Sauvignon, the most widely planted noble red grape on the entire planet, grown successfully on every wine-producing continent on Earth. This week we trace it across 4 of its greatest expressions: Napa Valley, Bordeaux, Tuscany, and Chile. Let's start with where this grape actually comes from, because the story is genuinely surprising. So Cabernet Sauvignon is, geologically speaking, a young grape. For centuries, nobody knew exactly how it originated. There were theories, but no proof. Then, in 1996, researchers at UC Davis used DNA profiling to settle the question definitively. Cabernet Sauvignon is a natural cross between Cabernet Franc and Sauvignon Blanc, and that cross likely happened sometime in the 17th century in southwestern France. A red grape and a white grape crossing in a vineyard somewhere in Bordeaux accidentally created what would become the most successful and widely planted fine wine grape in human history. Nobody planned it, it just happened, which is really cool. So what makes this particular grape so successful at traveling? Few specific characteristics. First, it has thick skin. Cabernet Sauvignon has notably thick grape skins compared to thin-skinned varieties like Pinot Noir. Thick skin means resistance to rot, resistance to disease pressure, and the ability to handle a wider range of climates without falling apart in the vineyard. Second, late budding, which protects it from spring frost damage in cooler climates, but the grape still ripens reliably given enough warmth in a long enough season. Third, naturally high levels of tannin and acidity, which means the wine has structure even when grown in warmer climates that might otherwise produce flabby, structureless wine from other varieties. Fourth, a flavor profile: black currant, cedar, graphite, dark plum, that remains recognizably Cabernet Sauvignon, crossed in an enormous range of soils and climates, even as the specific expression shifts dramatically from place to place. That combination of toughness and consistency is exactly why Cab Sauv became the grape that 19th and 20th century winemakers reached for when they wanted to prove a new region could make serious red wine. When growers in Napa Valley in the 1960s and 70s wanted to establish California as a fine wine region, they planted Cab Sauv, and when Tuscan producers in the 1970s wanted to break free of restrictive Italian wine laws to make something internationally ambitious, they turned to Cab Sauv. When Chilean producers in the 1980s and 90s wanted to attract global attention to their wine industry, Cab Sauv was the grape that did it. This grape has been the calling card for ambitious new wine regions for the better part of 2 centuries. So here's the map for the week. Tuesday, we'll dive into Napa Valley, the sub-appellations that actually drive pricing and quality, from Diamond Mountain to Rutherford to Stag's Leap District. Wednesday, we'll go to Bordeaux, the original home of the grape and the left bank blending tradition, and what the 1855 classification actually means today. Thursday, heading to Tuscany, the Super Tuscan Revolution, when a handful of rebellious producers broke Italian wine law on purpose and created some of the most celebrated wines in the world. Friday, Chile, the country quietly producing world-class Cabernet at a fraction of the price of established regions, anchored by the foot of the Andes. One thing I want you to hold on to as we move through this week: the same grape grown in these 4 places produces wines that can taste almost unrelated to each other. A Napa Cab from Diamond Mountain and a Bordeaux Left Bank blend, and a Super Tuscan and a Chilean Maifo Cabernet are all technically expressions of the same variety, and yet a blind taster with real experience could identify all 4 correctly almost every time. That's the central lesson of the week, and really the central lesson of wine as a whole. Place changes everything, even when the grape stays exactly the same. Tomorrow, again, heading to Napa Valley and the sub-appellations that explain why a bottle from one side of the valley costs 3 times as much as a bottle from the other side, despite both saying Cabernet Sauvignon on the label. We're going to walk the actual geography, the mountains, the valley floor, the historic districts, and by the end of it, you'll understand exactly what you're paying for the next time you pick up a bottle. So that's today's Daily Decant. If you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe and share with your friends so you can continue building your wine knowledge in just a few minutes a day. See you tomorrow for the next decant.